This is the Humarian Health Podcast.
Spilling our guts for the well-being of yours. So we're here at the Humarian Health Podcast today with Dr. Earl Mindell, who's actually been with us before, but we have a brand new book that we're very excited to hear him talk to us about. It's called Healing with Hemp Oil, which is a incredibly popular topic right now. And so thank you, Dr. Mindell, for being with us today.
Pleasure to be on the show again.
As I had mentioned to you, one of the number one questions that are coming in from patients is, what do you think of CBD oil? And I always say, I just bathe in it. I don't really know what else to do with it. And they kind of laugh like, oh, that's silly. But I think the confusion level is really high as to what it is. It seemed to kind of just swept into the marketplace and became popular in the last year or so, a little less. And I know we're going to hear that it's an old style treatment, but it's been something that now has just popped on the front. And I mean, person after person are saying valuable, getting a lot of benefit. And it seems to be that it seems to promise to affect a lot of symptoms and actually have a positive effect on many issues. So I think we need to get into it. This is a book that just rolled off for you, right? I mean, you just got this out.
It's something that I think I'm going to make a prediction. This is going to be the biggest thing in the nutrition field of the 21st century.
Wow.
It is amazing that the public knows very little about this.
Right.
The medical people know almost less, but it's been around for literally 3,000 years. In fact, hemp itself, if you look at the history of it, it's kind of interesting that one of our presidents, his name was George Washington. You might have heard of him.
I've heard of it.
He grew it. Thomas Jefferson grew it. In fact, the first and second beginnings of the so-called Declaration of Independence were written on hemp oil, on a hemp paper, I should say.
Are you serious? I did not know
Betsy
that.
Betsy Ross, supposedly, one of her flags was made of hemp. A man by the name of Henry Ford built a car out of hemp.
What?
So it goes on and on.
Wow.
It's amazing that it's been around forever. And there's, of course, reasons that it kind of lost interest, which we'll go into. But basically, it's been around for at least 3,000 years. And of course, CBD is really what it's really about. In fact, I'm going to change the name of the book to Healing with Hemp CBD Oil.
I agree.
CBD is the active ingredient of industrial hemp oil, which has all the benefits.
So for the very, very newbie listeners,
right.
And I'm not going to say that I'm, a newbie,
You're
but
newbie.
I kind of am. So just what is hemp exactly?
Well, it's actually a kissing cousin of cannabis. And, of course, most people know cannabis as the psychoactive thing called marijuana. Actually, marijuana is a slang Mexican term that was made negative over after the Spanish-American War, etc. But hemp is non-psychoactive. It grows differently than the other cannabis, but it has all the benefits of it without any of the liabilities.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Now, I had heard they even tried to use hemp because it was easy to grow, and they tried to genetically modify it and whatever, and they could do gasoline or something, make gas out of it.
Oh, absolutely. It was used for all kinds of different purposes. In fact, during the Second World War in 1942, the U.S. government came out with a small movie called Hemp for Victory. They try to get the farmers to grow it because it had so many applications for the military situation.
Oh,
so it's been around for a long time, and the states were not allowed to grow it. Now more and more are allowing hemp to grow, and we're realizing, in fact, there's a bill in the House to separate hemp from the other cannabis and make it into a agricultural product, which it is.
Interesting.
That is very
Huh.
interesting. Mostly
Okay.
the amount of uses. It sounds
Yeah.
like that would be a very. So I'm gonna like go start my own hemp patch,
You know,
and
not a
Well,
bad idea.
if you look at CBD, I talk about it using for treating things like acne, anxiety, arthritis pain, blood clots, brittle hair, eczema, depression, dry skin, heart disease, hormonal imbalance, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, infection, inflammation, insomnia, multiple sclerosis, PMS, psoriasis, stress, and there's even more, including nausea. So those are all benefits of using the CBD, and it is now available in about 30 states plus DC.
So why this recent? It feels like a very recent resurgence of interest in this product.
right.
So why now?
Well, because one of the pharmaceutical companies in England has done intensive research on it. They want to bring it out as a prescription drug. So naturally,
Of course they do.
Mm-hmm.
of course. They're making it synthetically, so that once they get information out, all of a sudden it becomes known to the public because it's going through they have research studies, etc. But the product is really all natural. It doesn't have to be synthesized. It is available, and in many ways, by the way. People say, how does it come? It comes in capsules and drops and tinctures and creams and patches, liquid extracts and powders and oils and sprays, and it actually comes in edibles too. I've seen chocolate with CBD and lollipops and muffins and cookies.
Wow.
It's amazing what's available.
That is
Now,
amazing.
okay, so anyone hearing and I've been in the healthcare field for 36 years. You've been in it for a few years yourself, and whenever you hear something come out that okay, everything except for hangnail can get corrected with this, the first thing is a skepticism and more disbelief than belief. Now, I have had patient after patient say for their anxiety, it has been amazing.
Yeah, I've heard that
Absolutely.
too.
I mean, just within days, they feel better. Now,
Right.
with that said, you talked about all the forms associated with it. Let's just stay with one of the more common forms, which is a liquid form, because there's a lot of them out there with liquid form.
Tincture, etc.
Tincture.
But you're going to find that as it becomes more available, people will understand that you can use it in a patch. There's capsules, there's edibles. So there's a lot of ways of getting CBD into the bloodstream, and it's a matter of knowledge, and that's why I brought the book out, because
Yeah.
I think it
Needs to
it
be.
is an amazing situation that in this country, where we are dying, 170 odd people a day are dying from prescription drugs and
Right.
overdose of opiates, etc.
Yeah.
That we don't know anything about this natural substance that can be used for pain and anxiety and stress and things like that. That doesn't have any side effects that we know of, like the drugs.
Now, but the oils, how do we know which ones are good? Is there a manufacturing qualities, things like that? Is there any assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. That's what I have a whole chapter in the book about how to, when you're buying CBD, etc., what to look for. But of course, the CBD oil is the one to get, and it should say how much CBD is in the product. And pretty soon it'll be certified, the amount. As it gets more popular, you'll see that the certification gets more and more common.
Okay.
So can we back up a second? So I'm back to the newbie status.
Sure.
So how does it work? Or
Yeah,
why
yeah,
does
that's
it
what I
work?
was just-
Like
I just wrote it down.
what's the sort of
What's it
'cause
do?
the research behind
Mhm.
all the different
Well,
yeah.
Basically, it seems that the cannabidiol, which is the CBD, has the ability to work against pain and inflammation, etc. It goes pharmacologically. It works very simply in the same way that most of the pain relievers do,
Okay.
but it doesn't have the side effects like the NSAIDs or the opiates, etc. But if
Okay.
you really want to know the whole ins and outs, I have a whole chapter on it about how it works, etc. Most
Okay.
people want to know one thing: what is it going to do for me?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right, right.
What are the benefits? I mean, I have never seen anybody buy up a bottle of pain reliever and say, "What is the pharmacological action of this?" They don't care.
That's true. That's
All they
true.
want to know is
Unfortunately,
what it's
right?
going to do for me. So my feeling is, here's something that is available that most people don't know about. Unfortunately, the pharmacies, etc., will not carry it because our wonderful government, right at the present time, wants to declare it a so-called Schedule One drug,
Yep.
which will make it completely illegal. So they are afraid to carry CBD. You have to go into either dispensaries or health stores that will carry it.
Well, it's interesting. In the state of Indiana, they literally passed in Congress and Senate, they passed a law to make it to outlaw it here in the state of Indiana, and the governor did not sign it yet. The reason why is
Right.
because there was so much pushback that it was
Mm-hmm.
safe, that people were getting benefit, and that they didn't want it to be done that way. That he is actually, in fact, even the Senate and Congress have just sat on that bill. They're not acting on it at this point, and
They
it
they
looks
they
like they're
better not
adapting it.
because, well, as I say, 30 states plus D.C. have already okayed it. But the whole idea is you got to go back and look at what happened. A guy by the name of he, they had paper mills and newspapers. He was very anti-hemp because he thought it'd be in competition with him.
Yeah,
Then
sure.
the nylon people, a company by the name of DuPont, they were worried about hemp replacing their nylons. The cotton people were worried about replacing cotton. So there was a lot of negativity put on over cannabis and hemp. And in 1936 or 7, I think it was, they passed the marijuana tax bill, and that pretty well killed it. But before that, from about the 1800s to 1936, there were hundreds of different preparations that had hemp CBD in it.
Really?
Yeah, very interesting. And
That's
that
very
makes sense. It
interesting.
really does.
Well,
So,
we see when you learn the reason for this, you understand what happened. And of course, today now, once the drug companies find out, hey, here's something that could become a major winner for them. That's why all of a sudden it's becoming so well known.
Yeah.
now, is this something that's going to take federal action law-wise, or you think it's just going to be a state-by-state issue? So I guess really,
That's a
so
good
for some of our
question.
listeners, they actually have to check and see if in their state they can actually get it
Yeah.
shipped in.
Well, it's a state by state thing, but you see, sooner or later, the public gets what they want. The government tried something a few years back called prohibition. You might have heard of that. For 13 years, they outlawed alcohol, but the public said, "No, we want it." So when the public wants something, sooner or later it gets it. And I feel that this is only a matter of time that it will become legalized, especially hemp, in the United States. The other cannabis will probably remain a Schedule One drug.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, it does make sense. As to, I was just kind of reviewing one or two spots in your book about how it works, and it makes all the sense because it follows the omega-3 pathway. So that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of pathways that are available that help bring it to all these benefits. But I know it sounds too good to be true because it is. You see, they've kept this down and away. Now, this country is one of the few that has done this. I mean, other countries, it's completely available. So, wake up. We've
Classic.
got to
Yeah,
talk to
classic.
our Congress people and our senators and president and tell them we want to have something available that might help to eliminate the problems with the opiates, etc. Why use a very toxic potent
Right.
drug when you can use a natural substance that is not psychoactive.
Right. So, but we still have to ask, is there any downfall to using hemp oil? Can you use too much? Can it affect other
Well,
organs?
I
Is
guess
it
you
a
could
concern?
drown in it if you
I'm telling you, I'm bathing in it, so I know.
I don't. There's the only thing I can tell people is if you are going to go on to a CBD, etc., and you're taking prescription drugs, you should check with the pharmacist or the physician and make sure that there's no contraindication because
Good point.
it has anti-anxiety, it has the ability to help sleeping, and the average person in this country right now is taking one or more prescription and for sure over-the-counter drugs, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
This is the when it comes to prescription drugs here, we're completely out of control. I think.
Yeah.
That
Agreed.
I'm not against them, but I was saying that
Right.
I think we should try natural things first before we go into the elephant type of drugs.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
So if I'm a average Joe patient
Or
and
Jolene.
Jane, average Jane, and I want to talk to my GP, my general
Good
doc,
question.
about hemp oil, CBD oil as part of a treatment protocol, and at the risk of this being the answer being sort of very broadly damning, I guess, for doctors. I mean, what's the general
Buy 'em
response?
my book.
Just buy the book
Just
and
buy the
ignore the
book.
They
doctor.
know nothing about it. You
Okay.
see,
Yep.
and unfortunately,
Okay. Well, that's what I was
most,
wondering.
the practitioners know nothing, or if they know anything, it'll be usually negative. So you've got to educate them about this. But see, this is available without a prescription, so you really can get it without going to a physician.
Gotcha.
However, I think we should try to educate the medical people about this because it can help so many millions that don't know about it.
Yeah. So to your earlier point, it's if I'm on other medication, that prescribed medication, I want to mention to my physician that I want to take CBD oil, and is there a contraindication of it? But
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
If
Okay.
you're on one or more drugs, and you should definitely check with a health practitioner before doing anything, because we don't know all the. First of all, my feeling is most people have contraindications of the drugs they're taking without their knowing it. And being a pharmacist myself, I tell people take all your drugs into the pharmacy and have them the pharmacist look at it, because some of them are probably causing problems with the other drugs.
Yep. Happens over and over, and it's amazing how that software they have just doesn't seem to catch them all,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So this is an excellent book for the listener to pick up where?
Amazon.com.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Well, unfortunately, they control the book market.
They do.
My publisher is SquareOne.com.
Okay.
And if you can find a bookstore, they probably will be able to order it. It's getting, unfortunately, there's fewer and fewer bookstores, and they carry less and less books. So I tell you, but Amazon.com I have 62 books, and Amazon.com has all of them.
Unbelievable.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
So, and it's not a bad recommendation to buy a copy, read it, and then hand it to your doc so that their doc can keep pushing that direction.
Yeah, pass it on to as many people as you can, because I'll make what I said before. This is going to be the biggest supplement of the 21st century.
Wow.
People will start to realize it. I mean, if you know anything about a product called Charlotte's Web, that about 20-odd, maybe more years ago, it got very popular because there was children who were having epileptic seizures 60, 70 a week. By using this substance, all of a sudden it decreased. In fact, people had to move out of the state they lived to a state like Colorado that it was available. So it's been around for a long time, but it's coming back and bigger than ever.
Fabulous.
This is great. Well, yeah, for everybody who's interested in the basics of what CBD oil is, why it works, how to select it, what it works for, and is interested in good referential sources, which is also in the back of the book, a ton of different sources on even more information. This is and it's, super readable, fairly short book,
Yep.
150
It's very
pages or
clear.
something. It's a very, 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 very
Well,
good place
thank
to
you.
start.
Yeah, I try to put each different condition and
Yeah.
what the serving size was, etc. I explain the condition, like for cholesterol, the high cholesterol, what you can do to help lower it, etc., or at least bring it down to normalcy. So it's a easy to read book, and I hope that people will understand that. Yeah, see, my feeling is if you want to be healthy, you've got to work at it. You've got to take the, I feel, otherwise the responsibility. You've got to take responsibility for your health. If you want to be, if you're sick, run to your favorite health practitioner. But what are we doing to prevent problems? What are we doing to keep healthy? And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Agreed. Dr. Mindell, fabulous. Thank you so much. Healing with Hemp Oil, or the new title, Healing with CBD Oil,
Yeah.
coming to your local store and Amazon.com. Thanks a lot for being on again, Amy, and I sure appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Be well.
Amy Baker, Dr. Sean Benzinger,
Humarian Health Podcast,
spilling our guts.
for the well-being of yours.
That's right.
Thanks for having the guts to listen to the Humarian Health Podcast. If you have things you'd like to gut check, send us an email at gutcheck@humarian.com.